Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/surviving infidelity, where OP's cheating wife is now desperately trying to win him back. Let's begin. Will I be the asshole if I didn't pay for my stepkid's private schooling? Posted by Reddit user Alternative Set.
I have one child. My husband has 4 kids with his ex-wife. Their divorce was very amicable and he gladly pays for his ex's home and cash support as she was a stay-at-home mom. This amounts to close to $8,000 a month. He makes $250,000, $15,000 a month net while I make $400,000, around $23,000 a month, but it varies. I would guess his ex makes $60,000 a year now. We live in a high cost of living city, so ex's house has only 3 beds and ours has 4 beds, almost $10,000 a month. Before marrying me, he lived in a studio down the street and he would take the kids during his days but put them to bed at her house. I lived in a 2-bedroom paying $4,000, so my daughter had her own room. Now, his kids share a room at our house when they are here 30% of the time. We have an uneven amount of kids and can't afford a 6-bedroom. I have put my daughter in her own bedroom. She's only 2 months younger than my oldest stepdaughter and is with us almost all the time. Her father is out of state and I receive meager child support. Between that and my daughter attending private school, started 2 years ago before we married, I pay a little less than half my salary every month to tuition and mortgage payments. Ex-wife is now asking my husband to either allow my oldest stepdaughter or stepson to have their own bedroom and to send all the kids to private school. Quite frankly, we can't afford it. I am making great money now but was basically paycheck to paycheck most of my daughter's life. I pretty much decimated my retirement and got into big debt to start my business that just started thriving last year. She is claiming I am treating my child like the favorite. I have always instilled academic values in my child. She has never received anything less than an A and has a lot of dreams. The other kids are great kids, but they do not value education as much. I'm not judging, just evaluating. But the kids are different. They have been raised differently and that's fine. I told my husband we can consider private school for each kid individually as they get older and they possibly get more academic rigor, but sending 5 kids to private school is just out of the question. I feel like I am being expected to foot this bill because I am successful, but I also have my long-term financial security to work out. He has a healthy retirement to which X is entitled to half and I have nothing to fall back on if my industry gets a downturn. My career is half his career's age. I do not have wealth like he has. I asked my daughter if she was okay sharing a room with her stepsister and she said she would prefer not to since the kids are messy. Am I the asshole for not wanting to pay for all my stepkids' private schooling and changing up rooms? Edit. My 4 stepkids share 2 rooms at my house which mirrors their living situation at their mom's. This weekend we are going to figure out a room divider. I'll have to update more on different posts as I've hit my character limit.
You are not the asshole, OP, and it sounds like that you and only you are paying for your daughter's school. So why can't him and his ex pay for their kids? Tell your husband that he can stop sending his ex money and put that money towards the kids getting in private school. She already makes more than enough to support herself. And now for today's second story. I finally filed for divorce and it hurts. Posted by Reddit user Exhausted Superman.
TLDR. My wife and I have been married for 10 years, but have been growing apart for 5 months and it continues. We have recently shed light into some real feelings, which have caused severe issues. I'm so lost, sad and angry, I just don't know what to do. Full story, I've been married for 10 years. I fell in love with my wife in college and everything has worked out until now. We married very young and it felt like an amazing love story. We have been through a lot together, but one thing I have hardly ever questioned is the strength of our bond. Now things are changing at a rapid pace. Over the past year, we have revealed things that have severely damaged our relationship. I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse from multiple parties at different ages and I held that in for years, resulting in a lot of repressed pain that would inevitably hinder my emotional intelligence. I'm working on this. I didn't tell my wife until about one of the occurrences until about 5 or 6 years ago. Then I told her about the rest about 11 months ago. I was so embarrassed by all of it and hid it from the world. Therapy has done wonders for me in realizing that it was absolutely not my fault. It just sucks that it took me this long to get into therapy, but I'm doing the best I can. What was my fault was the intermittent porn usage that I kept hidden from the world. While it should be a private thing, I also kept it from my wife. I was stupid and didn't think it would affect anyone. I just had a lot of privacy and trust issues that I never acknowledged and didn't want to ever talk about porn. Porn was introduced to me at a very early age and it became an addiction at some points. Porn was there all of the times I was abused. I always fought it off, but it would creep back in whenever I felt alone in life. Porn hardly came up in conversation between my wife and I, but there was a lie that I told at the beginning of our relationship that was so small and stupid. If I had never told that lie, I feel like things could be different. We could have even talked about her feelings around porn, but that didn't happen. I have always been a pretty honest person, but I felt compelled to lie in the moment for reasons I did not really understand at the time. I just felt defensive and scared that I would be judged due to her religion. If I could go back, I wouldn't have done that, but I can't. That lie has come up multiple times and I just couldn't figure out how to come clean, so I just avoided it. I finally came clean to her because of many reasons. I learned porn can be seen as cheating and I just couldn't lie about the small lie anymore. I accepted full responsibility and I regret ever lying and deceiving her. Along with my reveals to my wife, she let me in on some things. She let me know that she almost called our wedding off because she still had feelings for her ex. I was second choice. She kept that from me for over a decade. She felt pressure from her mother to marry me due to religious reasons. They are Jehovah's Witnesses. I knew some of that at the time, but I had no idea that her reasoning to marry me was mostly out of fear and desperation. This has wrecked me quite a bit. We grew so much closer after these events. Unfortunately, things took a turn about 5 to 6 months ago. She told me that she needed space because she was hurt, understandably so. It wasn't the porn usage, but rather the lying and the covering up of said lie that really hurt her. I gave her some space, but that space has grown so much. She has been pushing me away over and over and I'm reaching my breaking point. The distance is growing as she's back in college, going to parties or bars, hardly seeing me. She prioritizes school, seeing her friends and her school clubs over seeing me or even trying to speak any of my love languages. Meanwhile, I am working while she's been in school. I go to school as well, cook our meals, take care of our home, and go out of my way to try to make her feel loved, speaking her love languages. It's a one-way relationship. I have been so supportive of her, but I don't see any love back. It's exhausting, especially because she hardly ever wants to talk about our problems and I feel gaslighted a lot of the time. Yesterday, she told me that she never felt like she was in love with me despite her telling me the opposite before. She has always felt like I'm an amazing guy and she does love me, but the in love part wasn't reached. She always felt like I was much more in love with her, as I have felt. She gave more insight on me being second choice and the pressures she faced when we were to get married. My heart is broken. We aren't gelling and our relationship is at its absolute worst. Both individual and couples therapy have been suggested to her. The latter she has refused, but the former she has possibly agreed to. She says that a lot of these issues are her own and that I'm an amazing person despite my mistakes. She hasn't been trying at all and I deserve so much more, as she has said repeatedly. We both deserve happiness, but this is not how things should be going. I don't know what to do, but I feel like divorce is imminent. I don't even know why I'm posting this. Maybe I'm just seeking any sort of advice. I'm desperate. Updated to edit. She cheated on me. I'm defeated. And now, for OP's update 1 year later. It has almost been a year since D-Day and I finally filed. Pre-affair, I would have never considered reconciling, but some of that changed when it happened to me. I loved the hell out of my partner. I essentially grew up with her. The affair ruined me though. I was such an angry person when I found out and all I could feel was a cycle of rage, deep sadness and more. Even had a brief suicidal moment. That first day was the worst day of my life. I blew up at her, pacing the room and yelling at her for the first time ever. I was in disbelief. She seemed so sorry and the person who I had loved so incredibly deeply for the past 12 years sat there and cried as I broke down. I asked that the affair be stopped. She finally obliged, but fell into it again rather quickly within a week or two because she said I wasn't showing her any love or support. We talked about divorce briefly and it was over, but then we lived together. Even though we were separated for the next 6 months or so, I knew he was still around. She still maintains that it wasn't a relationship, yet she was going to move in with him at the end of that 6-month period. Just doesn't make logical sense. She has since went to therapy and they have talked about her self-sabotaging because she made a mistake. So she felt the need to accept that mistake is her new life and that she didn't deserve me. Those 6 months were so incredibly hard for me, so much so that I struggled to do simple things like file for divorce. I know it's not super complicated, but it was so hard for me because I was more stressed than ever. I just tried to stay afloat. Since she moved out, she broke it off with the guy. Meanwhile, I've taken the year to regain happiness and love for myself. I've been rather successful and was even set up with a friend of a friend. This girl appreciates and loves me. My ex has been trying to get me back for the past month and a half, probably partly due to her seeing me happy with another person. I see my ex weekly to trade my dog, and I had been open and transparent that I had dated a little and then found a great girl, also ultra transparent with my new girlfriend. She wanted to see me happy, but she was hurting. I had been talking about divorce for months and slowly worked on getting the papers filled out. I needed to take the final steps of filing and I did it. I don't think my ex ever took me seriously because now she is crying wanting me back. It's been so hard for me because it actually seems remorseful, but it's too little too late. Some may think it's wrong or irrational, but I have held compassion for my ex. I know of her problems and struggles and I just want to see her happy. I just couldn't get past her affair and how it hurt me so badly. When I look at her, all I see is him lurking around. I'm rather proud of myself for being courageous enough to walk away from a marriage that turned very toxic. I never wanted any of that. But she took me for granted and didn't comply with my boundaries. She had many chances to stop, and she didn't. Now the papers are in and she is practically begging for me to reconsider. It's a tragic situation. There was a lot of pain this weekend, especially after I told my ex that I filed. She cried and cried, but I had to choose me. I am a very empathetic person and it hurts to watch people in pain, so this really hurt me. Through all of the bad stuff that I had to endure over the past year, I feel blessed to have come across a new person who values and loves me. She has shown so many healthy qualities and leads with respect and compassion. I'm grateful. I deserve happiness and I may have found it, but I'm taking it slow.
And then, we have this comment exchange between OP and Reddit user New Arrival.
She's not remorseful about what she did to you, she's regretful about what she lost. She wanted you back only after she found out the new guy wasn't what she thought. She didn't value and love you except as a backup plan. You didn't hurt her, she caused all this herself. You can't find the right one if you are still with the wrong one. Be glad you have moved on from the wrong one. Be happy. It has taken a lot of thought over the past year. I mentally spiral randomly and it's so difficult. I remind myself that I'm okay and that I'm doing the right thing. I play the mental game of if she's remorseful or regretful and it's a winless game, it doesn't matter. I personally believe she's both, though that doesn't change anything. She stopped valuing me, cheated, abandoned me, realized what she had lost, and is now experiencing the reactions of her actions. Regardless of how she treated me, I know she is a good person. It's hard for others to see it here because she is just words on a post here, but I know it. She has a lot of issues and trauma she needs to work on and through to become a better version of herself and especially a better partner. She has the tools to do it. That won't be with me, but I believe she can do it to be good for someone else. I hate that I was the damaged one here, but it is what it is. I'd rather take the compassionate route instead of the angry one. I'm on my path of forgiveness so I can release her. Thankfully, I have done my work and become such a great version of me, all while finding someone who cherishes me.
OP, after everything that your soon-to-be ex-wife has done to you, you are still defending her honor like she's the best thing that ever happened to you. If you still sincerely believe that she is a good person after everything, then I am 100% sure that your new girlfriend is gonna cheat on you too in the near future. I'll be seeing you again very, very soon. But for now, good luck, OP. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.